Hello, 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 and welcome to the Rabbit Hole Heroines. My name is Jessica, the big weird mom.
And I'm Jess, crazy mother runner.
Well, we apologize for the delay here. We've had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we are ready to go. And it looks like we've got some viewers too.
My fault.
So it's okay. We're forgiving here. We're very
Yes.
laid back on this podcast. So we have two very special guests today. I'm so very excited for our Pride episode. We have Muscles in Nursing, and we have Jamie Grayson here with us. We are going to get into some really fun rabbit holes today, I think.
We're going to get into something.
We're going to get into
just based on the conversations we were having before the show, it should be a fun time. So for those of you who don't follow Jamie and Muscles in Nursing, can you guys give us a little intro? What brought you to TikTok? What brought you to social media? Jamie's got kind of a fun little story. So let's go ahead and start with you.
Oh, fair. So I work in the baby gear industry. For those of you who don't follow me or like whatever. But my background is theater. I was on tour with musicals for years. And I still do that every now and then, but I took like a survival gig, at a baby store, and it kind of turned into this. And I've been, running my own company for 11 years now.
Oh my gosh.
And so normally I travel all over the world doing speaking gigs on like car seats and breast pumps and crap like that. But COVID hit. So everything is digital and virtual now, which is a lot. But yeah, I slowly started playing on social media. And like back in the day, I was one of like the first brands to get on Facebook because pages first started back when I lost my job. So it's just been kind of a wild ride. TikTok is still pretty new to me. I'm still figuring it out because I am old. But it's fun. It's a fun little weird world, and like I've kind of it's social media. It is what it is.
And what like got you into the kind of social media activism part of it? So the way that we connected was the taking care of babies incident. So like what pulled you towards that side of social media?
I think being a little bit more vocal on social, like I've always, someone disappeared. He said, not today. I grew up in the South, like, and I'm fully gay and like came out when I was 21. And
amateur.
but I look at this as like, I have this platform, and, people have reached out to me who have, queer children and, queer parents, obviously, but I have this weird platform that I have, obviously, for work, but if I didn't use it for things that matter, like what the hell is it even for, to be honest? Like anybody can go start an Instagram account. Who cares? Yeah. But I have a very engaged and very intelligent audience, and they're funny, like, thank God. But I think the activism component, it really hit when Trump was elected. And, I've always been vocal, but I had to like go into overdrive the past like 5 years, and, it directly affected me and people I care about. Yeah. And I was like, no, here we go. Yeah. Like I can't be quiet. And it did all really come to a head with TCB. And that was an awful few weeks. Like to be mentioned on Breitbart is not good.
Yeah.
So it was all over the place. And like, of course people automatically, they come for me because I'm gay, and they automatically equate that with being a pedo.
Yeah.
So my inbox.
I'm too familiar with that. Yeah.
Yep, my inbox was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages calling me all kinds of things, and it was not fun. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. Well, so for those of you who don't know, taking care of babies is she's a sleep coach, I guess, would be the best way to
she took the Ferber method and repurposed it
Right.
and sells it to parents.
Yeah, so she sells an online course. She does in person too, but she sells an online course to like basically sleep train your babies. And she never really was political at all. I feel like I just kind of assumed that she was liberal because she's got a bunch of kids. I think her husband is brown. Maybe I can't even remember.
He's Asian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of assumed that, if you're taking care of kids, like that you would be more on the liberal side. And then it came out that she had donated to Trump like a massive amount. And somebody said to me, like, Jess, you got to check this out, what Jamie Grayson's doing. And I put it on TikTok. And it went crazy on TikTok too. So, she's kind of fallen off the map, thankfully. Right?
She hasn't. But she's still huge.
The bad ones never fall off the map. We're all too familiar with that.
One of my biggest problems with that whole situation was her complete lack of an apology. Obviously, I didn't expect one, but it was all in her stories, and stories disappear. It's nothing concrete. Yeah. And people, her apology was like, I donated this amount. No, if you know how to use the FEC website, you can see that she and her husband donated even after he lost.
Right.
After he lost the election, they were still donating to him.
She didn't uncheck that button, did she?
I was going to say, did she uncheck the button?
Did you every damn time?
Can we tell you that is the biggest FU moment for you got to give it credit to that snake. Like you got to give him credit for that one.
He was wise.
For grifting, So Muscles and Nursing, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where we can find you as well?
So I am on Instagram and TikTok under the same name. I try and stay away from giving out my real name only because I can get a little spicy with what I do.
Same.
Oh yes. And it gets really bad. And honestly, I joined TikTok. So I joined TikTok, I would say in February, March, but I'm just a petty bitch. And
we love your petty bitchness.
I'm petty. So people also know me as the dictator of the House of Petty. Yes. And there are certain times that people will say something stupid and I need to address it. And one of the biggest things coming as a nurse working through this pandemic, I have seen tragedy on a biblical scale, and there needed to be a release for me. And I was like, this TikTok is really cool. And before I would just, scroll through it. And then I felt like I needed to say something if I was going to be quiet. My first TikTok that I ever made was calling to task the American Nurses Association governing boards. As my brothers and sisters are dying in healthcare, they stayed silent. They didn't reprimand the governors. They didn't reprimand. They didn't reprimand any state legislator, not the president, not Trump. They all knew what was going on. They're all nurses. Why are you being quiet about this? And if you have a position of authority, you need to speak out. And just so everybody's perfectly clear, every communication that the Board of Nursing from every state is signed by their governor. So if you are in Florida and you are president of their Board of Nursing, then that means you are endorsing what he is doing in Florida. Like we have an oath that we will do no harm. So I came out and said something. I had no idea. First TikTok I ever made went viral, right? I had no idea. I was like, whoa, okay. And then slowly I started like making more and more TikToks. And I have I wouldn't say I have a niche, but I definitely fight vaccine misinformation and health misinformation and COVID misinformation. I also advocate for the LGBTQIA plus community as well, and I also hold it to task. And like Jamie, you were saying, my coming out story is I was 14 in a backwoods redneck high school, and some guy called me called me a faggot, and I looked at it and I said, yeah. First openly gay kid. in all of my high school. I mean, I'm ballsy.
Wow.
You know, I'm ballsy. I had a really traumatic childhood. I'm not going to go into it, but like I'm ballsy. So nothing scares me. And so after, you know, that was my coming out story. Coming onto TikTok, sorry, I diverged there. And then as I started growing and growing my followers, I noticed there's a lot of hate on the internet. And so I turned from hate to pet. You know what I mean? Like, I always try and walk that fine line of just being like straight out rude, because I'm not going to be fair though, there are times I will body shame somebody. And let me explain this, okay? In the internet, in social media, when it comes to trolling, because my generation invented trolling, okay? From AOL chat rooms to you know, Baron's chat in the World of Warcraft to Evercrack to all of those things. We invented trolling, okay? So I've got the handle on it. But there are rules of engagement when it comes to certain things. And there are so many times that there are rules of engagement, okay? And when you put your stuff out there, you've now set the table. And I have rules that I will follow. But there are so many times that men will come after women that's just awful. You know what I mean? And at that point, then the gloves are off, because you've now changed the rules of engagement. Right. And unfortunately, as we get more and more like closer to fall, which is terrifying. I'm sure we'll get to it later. But as we get closer to that, I'm seeing it more and more often. You know, that guy came back. I don't remember, Carl Ryan.
Yeah, Carl Ryan. Yeah.
The very fact that he could say that on a social media platform, and we'll go into it. It's a trigger warning kind of thing. But anyways, I notice those things, and I love politics. I've always loved politics. I volunteered for Hillary. I wanted Hillary. Don't hate me. I really do. And I wanted Hillary. I know you got Bernie fans everywhere, but I wanted Hillary just because I really wanted somebody capable in there. And I saw what Donald Trump would do, and I was like, holy shit, we're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So, all right, but that's my story. That's my story. I don't know how I'm so big on social media. So.
Well, as someone who was raised by gay nurses, I can say that they're all very, you know, you're very lovable and charismatic, and of course you have 250,000 followers. Like, of course you do. Like, why wouldn't you?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
My main question for you, I think, is, you know, as someone in the gay community myself, I have seen throughout this pandemic just like kind of some problematic behavior from a lot of people in the community.
Problematic. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't.
No, it's fine. What are your thoughts on it?
Trigger. Yeah. It's not problematic. It's downright disgusting, and it's disgusting, and it's shameful. It is absolutely shameful. As the gay community, we went through a pandemic. We went through it. We went through the fucking AIDS crisis. Right. And you're going to sit there and bitch about how you can't go to like the Poconos, or that everything's closed down because you can't go to a bathhouse. You are shaming our community. Like, we have a responsibility to lead the way. We have the money, the power, the prestige, the political power. And we sat and we were mad because we couldn't go to a bar, you know?
Like,
and now
we can't go to the Pines.
Right.
Exactly.
If you're
you
willing
can't go to the woods, you know?
Yeah, if you're willing to take a pill every day to not contract a virus from a pandemic that the community has already gone through, but you can't, you know, make XYZ sacrifices for the entire world, like
where did we go wrong here?
Exactly. We had the groundwork to be able to reach out into urban areas and those kind of things, to reach out into, you know, lower, like we have already gentrified the fucking cities. Get your ass out there and start helping people. You know, and you know, get that information out. But no, we just sat there and were mad that we couldn't have brunch. And we're seeing it now, but we're seeing the fruits of our inaction. Because if you look on social media, when they talk about the vaccine passport, and you know, which is completely allowed under HIPAA, okay? Because HIPAA is only for medical professionals, okay? Period. Hands down. Like that is it. People are saying, well, are you HIV positive? See, if we had started at the beginning of this pandemic, we would have been able to stop that, but we didn't. We sat and we were silent. And that's a big thing for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Don't apologize. That's what we're here to talk about. Jamie, you're an Instagram guy. What are your thoughts on it? Seeing all the Instagram.
There was the whole account like gays over COVID, and it was just people like out partying and doing whatever. And it's much like you said, it's like, we have gone through this. Like I am quite literally like maybe 6 or 7 years removed from the generation that dealt with the beginning of the AIDS crisis.
Right.
And we could have all led by example and just calmed the fuck down and did our job.
Yeah.
And, when you have all these people going out and partying and doing whatever and all this crap, it's just like, y'all, like, did you learn nothing?
Right.
No.
Not only that, I would hazard to say, because it's like the gay community, we don't have these things called children. Okay, they're accessory. Well, I don't know if you have any, Jamie, but I don't have.
No.
I never shopped for one. I see them on sale in the magazine every once in a while. I like to browse, but I'm not buying.
I've got 3.
I'm not doing, the rent for 30 days, send back if you don't like it. Because you can't do that. That's not an option with kids.
No, there are influencers who have sent their children back.
Maya, Mila, whatever her name is. No, Maya Stauffer. Yes. Okay, that's a whole nother show.
As a gaby myself,
you don't need to get into it.
Show.
As a gaby myself, as queer spawn, I need to speak to that person because, that is a whole.
Poor baby Huxley. That was a fucking shit show. Yeah, that was a whole.
I was a foster kid. I was a foster kid. I was in 9 different foster homes and 8 different group homes. You know what I mean? So that's awful. Wow. She said. Anyways, we have disposable income as gay men. Okay, we don't have children. So there's a lot more disposable income available. We could travel everywhere, and that's what we were doing. I guarantee you, if we traced it back, we could contact trace us as gay men, in the gay community, the rainbow community. We could trace spread, and how disrespectful. Because now we could have been better than the Christians. Did you think about that for a minute? We could have been better than the people who said, love your fellow man. Well, now they say, let them die of COVID. You know what I mean? I'm saying we could have been better. The whole gay pride month, we shouldn't have a month. We could have been better than that, but we didn't. So
yeah. I have a question kind of in relation to that, because I know that's something that we've both, me and Muscle Understand, both addressed. I haven't used the terminology because I don't feel, because I'm more of an ally than a member, but baby gays, do you feel like the baby gays who have not experienced a lot of the turmoil that the pride community, the LGBTQ plus community has experienced, in the 90s and 80s, have no respect for, I'm blown away. I hate to say this, but I'm always blown away when I see very openly gay people supporting Donald Trump. And we know, the infamous Christian Walker, we know there's other people. Jamie has things to say. Okay, Jamie.
One of the infamous gays who supports Trump, Brian Cloudus, he was taking pictures with the QAnon shaman. He's now running for office in Florida. I was on tour with him with Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. We dated at the beginning of the tour. And then I realized something was wrong. So when all over the internet you see him as this Trump supporter and MAGA, 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 MAGA. And then all these stories came out. He used to run a theater in Atlanta called the Serenbe Playhouse, where they did Miss Saigon outside and a helicopter landed. They did Titanic and an actual boat sank in the lake, they did it on big productions.
Wow.
But he was racist and terrible. And so he's trying to come back now in the theater scene in Atlanta, and everybody's blacklisting him. So he started a conservative theater company. Only conservatives can be hired. And he's doing some.
It's gonna be awful. Nobody
has any theater background. He's just hiring whoever. But he's a nut. He's a complete nut. But to your point of the baby gays not understanding what people went through, one of the saddest days of my life, and I think hopefully the anniversary just happened with Pulse, I was in New York. I was back in New York visiting the day that was going on, and I was at 9th Ave Saloon, which is now closed due to COVID. It closed down, but I was in 9th Ave with a friend of mine, and 9th Ave is usually, it's a dive bar. It's crowded full of people. It's great bar. But I was sitting there, and all of these older gay men were sitting at the bar just completely solemn. And all I could think about was like all the shit they went through, all the protesting and everything they worked so hard for, and then for this to happen.
Right.
And they're having to sit in that right now. And it was,
and people
it was awful.
Laughing and glorifying it.
Mm-hmm.
Just the evil that we've had to endure, and now it's kind of like it's rearing its ugly head again.
Yeah.
But as we go forward, we're going to piece it all together. It really is. It really, there's a nice little spider web. You're right. Like for me, with the baby gays, I don't consider them baby gays. I consider them either uneducated or willfully ignorant. There
privileged,
are some,
almost.
Privileged. Absolutely.
Right.
When I hear
Christian Walker.
And that other kid that's it's that white boy that's like weighs like we're not on TikTok, so I can say what the fuck I'm about. That skinny ass little fucking queen.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know who you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, you know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I really just want to. Anyways, when I heard,
I'll submit their ass in person.
I kept getting tagged and all of this shit, and I'm like, who is this peasant that you're fucking talking to me to? Because rarely do I don't skip in TikTok. We have the ability to, you watch a video and you can stitch it, and so that means it will automatically travel back into their account. Okay, I rarely do that because I'm not trying to sound egotistical, but I have clout. Like I have,
and you don't want to give them any. I get it.
Following. And I don't want to give any, but this time I'm gonna stitch you. And if I stitch you, it's because all of my people, because I cultivated my group, I would have probably close to 700,000 people right now following me. I would, but because I am very selective on who I allow follow me, every morning I wake up and I scroll back 300. And out of those 300, I will take 100, and I will look at who you're following, because I have a lot of sexual violence survivors who follow me. I have a lot of abuse followers who follow me. I'm not really worried about the minors. That's not my fucking problem. You're a parent, take care of your kid. I don't have them. That's your problem, not mine. Okay.
Right.
But I'm also not putting anything that's really not minor sensitive. You know what I mean? That's not what I do. Also, I'm a nurse and I could lose my fucking license. So I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm very careful. But when I stitch somebody, everybody who follows me knows, go for it.
Yeah.
Like the gates.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
Exactly. Like they know.
I'm the same way. If I stitch you, it's because I don't want you to exist on TikTok anymore. I'm sorry, not sorry. Like
exactly. And now so when I looked at his account and I saw that he had 146,000 followers, and I looked at my account and I said, well, I've only got 213,000. And then I sat there for a minute and I said, if my account is worth anything, like if everything that I have done doesn't mean that I should go for this one, then it means nothing. Okay. Like Cher said, baby, it's all or nothing now. And he said something that was really awful. He said, if gay people, or if military don't have a month of Pride, why do gay people have a month of Pride?
That's the video that everyone has seen.
Moron.
Oh, him?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that bitch.
You know who it is. You know who it is.
The little fucking pencil neck that looks like he's like a tapeworm that just got pulled out of somebody's ass.
I've also seen those videos on TikTok. So yay, internet.
That's Friday. But anyways, so I stitched him back. I put him in his fucking place, and that little queer didn't even fucking talk back to me. I'm like, listen, faggot, I just talked to you. I talked to you. Your elders are talking to you. Speak the fuck up.
We're speaking.
Let's have.
Right.
Huh?
I'm speaking.
He's like, we're speaking.
Exactly.
We're speaking.
I said yes. I said the I forgot, but anyways, the veterans of the gay community are talking, and then I proceeded to school this motherfucker on who Marsha P. Johnson was, on what it was to fight and act up. Like I was 12 years old, and I went to 4 ACT UP.
Wow.
4 ACT UP riots. I went to 4 of them. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, because I knew I had to self-actualize as a little kid, just because of stuff. So I knew who I was, and I was there very young. I knew some of the founding members of ACT that's still alive today. And I sit there and I look at this kid and I was like, you are only here because of what I fucking did.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to sit down here and downplay it? That's why if I'm at the bar.
They like
Jamie,
shit on
let me
it.
ask you a question. Absolutely. Jamie, let me ask you a question. If you're at a bar and you see an older man hit on a younger man, and you see that younger man just like go, ugh, you know what I mean, and walk away and turn their heads, and flop their hair, I will stop them every fucking time. I'll say, you know what? You need to go back to that man and you need to say thank you that you can walk away like a little faggot, because that's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you did. You are welcome for what he did.
I think it's one of the things I think that is, I mean, obviously this is not like the critical race theory episode of this podcast, but it is that obviously there are reasons that needs to be taught.
Yeah.
There are reasons why queer history needs to be taught.
Yes, 100%.
It's one of the, like, I grew up in Arkansas, like in the sticks, and it's like, it's part of this like learning process that you have to go through, and you're in charge of doing that yourself a lot of the time. The same as the unlearning process. You have to unlearn so much. And it is a constant process of like evolving as a human. But when you don't know what you don't know, like you have no clue what you're doing.
You have no jumping off point. You have no jumping off point. It's like you're like building from nothing.
Right.
Only so 7 years ago. Go ahead.
I know.
No, go ahead.
No, you're going to say about marriage, right?
Only 7 years ago. Gay marriage. So you got to think, like, coming from a medical perspective, especially during the AIDS epidemic, gay people, the doctors hated you. You were a pariah. Nurses didn't want to like deal with you. And this is going to be kind of a little off topic, but like we had experiments on us. Like AZT, if you were given the prescription for AZT, remember it wasn't AIDS. Okay, it was GRID. It was GRIDS before it was AIDS. Okay, it was a gay respiratory infection, disease. So it was literally just the gays. And Dr. Fauci, like, we had a little rocky start at the beginning. He's very, very clinical and wouldn't talk, but finally he started listening to us. And that's why I'm such a big advocate for him now, because if you know him, not what they portray him as, thousands of gay people would be dead right now. And that's why I look at all these anti-vaxxers, and I was like, do you realize the gay community, like, they fought to put their lives on the line to take these experimental drugs so we could save our fucking community. And so that's like that we were not allowed to. There was regulations that gay people would not be allowed to go into these trials because it was too soon. But they begged to get into them.
And then when they were finally let in, it was only white gay people. And only affluent white gay people. Like you would see studies, anyway, you would see the statistics of these studies, and there would be like out of like 500, there would be like 1 or 2 BIPOC. And then like, and you were so right, about all of that. Even in the healthcare industry, I mean, my mom was a hospice nurse during the AIDS epidemic, and she was like just starting nursing as she and so I remember hearing stories about my grandmother begging her not to be a nurse because she thought that just as being a nurse she would get AIDS, because they thought that it was only affecting gay people.
Jesus Christ.
And I mean, like my grandmother,
I know, I
bless
get
her
it.
heart. She survived the Holocaust, but like until the day she died, she'd be like, well, that black man over there looks very suspicious. Like,
I'm showing this to you, muscle nursing, because I think that is accurate, correct? Because mRNA has been.
Good question, Steve.
Yeah.
Do you guys see the question that somebody asked me?
Yes, I put it up.
Yeah.
Wasn't the COVID vaccine based on HIV? So no, it wasn't.
Okay.
Because that's part of the Fauci email kind of thing. The whole kind of Fauci. What they did was they did some research. Like it was a whole conglomerate. Okay, so mRNA is being used for. We're actually in stage 2 trials. I don't know if you guys know it. We're in stage two trials of an HIV vaccine.
Yes, I did know
this
that.
This one looks really, really fucking promising, and it's because of the mRNA. That's because of the mRNA vaccines. So Steve is right in as much as the technology, the mRNA technology, is being used for a cancer vaccine, a COVID vaccine, like seriously, and HIV. So all of that technology is together, and that's how. Because it's the same technology, that's how misinformation and anti-vaxxers, and Steve, thank you for your question, by the way. I really appreciate it. That's how they're able to get these lies, because and I'm not saying you're doing it. I'm saying they're able to take this information because now they run with it and they say, well, the vaccine's got AIDS in it.
Yep.
And HIV.
I see that all over Telegram. It's insane.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It's the same technology that we're doing to fight a virus. Okay.
Yeah, they're looking at that. They're looking at those exact clinical trials, reposting them, copy and pasting them, and trying to make people believe that I've seen it all on there, and I knew exactly what it was as soon as I saw it.
So if you look at the timeline, HIV obviously before SARS, because the vaccine that we have right now is based off this SARS, the SARS virus back in 2002. Okay, so we started nearly a decade ago on this vaccine. Okay, but that was built off of what was being built with the HIV vaccine. So it's kind of piggybacked, and then come Operation Clusterfuck with with the orange Cheeto at sale. Okay, and then Dolly Parton got her tits involved. You know what I mean? And when Dolly Parton's tits
we love her tits though. We love her and her tits. Okay.
the Dolly Parton's tits gets involved, and things.
I got the Dolly Parton shot. Thank you very much.
I'm so mad at you. And this is how I explain it to people. If you are an astronomer, okay, and you really want to do a lot of things, but all the money you have is to buy a little rinky-dink one, sit on the back of your porch and look up at the stars, you're not going to get very far. You may eventually get, but it's going to be small baby steps. But all of a sudden, what happens if you get billions and billions of dollars and you have access to the Hubble telescope? Bam, 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 bam. You're going to be
on the fucking moon. That's what's going to happen.
Right.
Exactly. And so, yes, Steve, you are correct. In as much as that it's the same technology, definitely not the same virus. COVID-19 and the HIV virus is very different. So, sorry. Thank you.
Good question.
Yeah.
Yes, good question.
How do you see? So, you're talking about a vaccine. Do you know what stage they're at with a possible HIV vaccine?
You just said phase 2, clinical trial phase 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So clinical trials phase 2. So let's put it this way: us right now, when it comes to for example, COVID-19. Okay. With the vaccines, with the Pfizer, Moderna, and all those, the federal government, the FDA, gave approval for an emergency use authorization. Okay, so the FDA approved that. They authorized to do that. It's not technically considered approved. The FDA had to approve the EU. I know it's like a circle because a lot of people say it's not FDA approved. Well, who approved the emergency use authorization? So the same thing.
Yeah.
We started out and administering at the same time the final phase 3 was going on, okay, which is a production. Phase 3 is production, okay? They're still gathering in data, they're still watching it, yada, yada. So right now, the HIV vaccine is in phase 2, okay? Now, how long that's going to be for it to find efficacy and enough, that is also dependent on how long it's, how long they find the right data, so.
But that comes into
to-
dollars and acceleration too. Like with COVID, there was
really
acceleration. It was a global movement, global backing. So there was that acceleration process of like, we got to get this to phase 3. We've got to get this in people's arms. Where with HIV, it's important, but it's that matter of, priority in the eyes of the FDA and the powers that be and the financial backing.
Has the COVID vaccine kind of been helpful towards the HIV vaccine and cancer vaccine? Like, has it been like helpful to as far as progress for that?
Work? Yeah, when they first discovered the mRNA sequencing and the proteins and that, when they first started, it was kind of like with COVID, and then or not with COVID, but with HIV, like it was a whole bunch of stuff. All of a sudden, everything clicked open. Believe it or not, how they first started, I would say probably about 15 years ago, there was a university, I forget which name of the university. We couldn't figure out how to sequence the outside of the HIV virus itself because it's constantly mutating, okay? The HIV virus has little spikes outside of right here. Normally, our immune system, viruses are kind of like this. So our immune cells can snap onto them and start fighting it. HIV is just a little bit smaller apart. So our immune system can't catch it, okay? And it was constantly moving. Well, do you know who broke the code? Gamers. They put the HIV virus out on an open share platform, and they said,
I love Jamie's face right now.
Can you break this code? And now I'm a big gamer. I play World of Warcraft. I was one of the world first for Lich King kill, heroic Lich King kill. I'm a fucking nerd, okay? But I bench 300. But they put it out on an open source platform, and they were able to break the code of how of the mutation. They turned it into a game. It was amazing. I need to do a post on that.
World.
I'm just gonna shut
you
up
definitely need to. And how does the daily pill? I can't remember what it's called. How does that work? If you know what I'm talking about.
Well, you're talking about the retroviral, like the one a day, like Truvada, like
PrEP?
Yeah.
Or something like that. I forgot the name of it. How it works. So it's 3 different drugs that were all in one. Okay. And so the pharmacokinetics of it, like I was way outside of my scope of practice. But what it does is it's 3 different levels of suppression for the virus, to the point that it throws it back. It's kind of like a search and destroy. When somebody says that they're undetectable, that really means if they were to go get an HIV test, they would test negative. Okay. But unfortunately, HIV lives inside part of your organs that your bodies just doesn't get to. But these patients do, and it keeps the virus down. It also boosts your immune system as well. It's got a whole bunch of stuff with it. But we finally have one pill. Back in the 80s and the 90s, you were taking 16, 17 pills.
Yeah.
And if you missed one pill, the virus would mutate, and it's no longer effective against that. Period, hands down. And you went through the whole arsenal of medications with HIV, you were done. There was nothing that they could do.
I will assume you've seen How to Survive a Plague.
Oh, yes. God, yes.
I think there are things like that, and the normal heart that I think are required viewing for humanity in general, to be honest. Yeah. It's not just like a gay story. It affected everybody. But it's absolutely heartbreaking. It's awful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm almost 40. I don't know. I don't know if people know how I am. I'm almost 40.
Liar.
But yeah, right, liar. So I lived through, the whole Pedro on Real World. That was kind of my super eye-opening thing to learning about HIV. I felt like that was the first time that not only a gay man, but HIV was given a platform, shall we say, to really globally bring it to people's attention. So I just remember being devastated. I am not even kidding. I have a scrapbook, one of those old school, high school scrapbooks, and he is in my scrapbook. So I just really, and again, I was raised to believe in God, and I still do. But
how did your family feel about that?
But my parents weren't religious. Like my parents were like these people like, hey, yo, we believe in God. You should pray every once in a while when you're feeling like shit. Like we didn't go to church. Like we weren't like devout, we didn't have a religion that we followed. You know, my mom was just a faithful person. Like she just had to believe in a higher power kind of situation. My grandma was one like all churches are full of hypocrites and assholes. Don't ever go to church. So like, you know, my grandmother's like to this day, the biggest pessimist. I love her dearly, but I just like, I remember that really like hitting me at my core. Cause you know, I was the generation of MTV and Real World. And I just remember like watching that happen all the time.
Mine was Ryan White.
Okay. Ryan White. Yes.
Who got it from a blood transfusion with hemophilia. And it's, you know, it made it real. Yeah.
It made it real. I feel like it just made it real for people that didn't know what was going on outside of their own, you know, their own box.
Yeah.
It was like, holy shit. Like, you know, I mean, the same reason we have crazy people now, the internet makes things readily available, but it was just the first experience where we had the opportunity to see inside someone's life that was going through it in real time. Yeah. So I just remember that like so vividly as a kid.
Yeah.
Watching him go through that and be a part of a community that was like, we love you, we're here for you. And then watching him pass. And I was just like, what the fuck?
I have a really weird kind of aha moment that I don't think this is something that I don't think anybody else in the world has gone through. When I lived in a pretty liberal area. So I didn't really have any issues when I was growing up. I had two moms from day one. I was like the first person in California to have two moms in my birth certificate. And like my moms were always like really proactive about going in every year and like talking to my teachers and like, you know, like trying to like make everyone prepared for, you know, a different kind of family. And I don't know if this was the right thing to do or not. I'm kind of torn on it, but one of my principals in elementary school had like, when they found out that I was going to be coming to school, they did like a whole assembly about families that are different and that you can't get AIDS from like hugging someone or like, and it was like one of those things where it was like, okay, well, this person had pretty good intentions, but like, way to like single me out, you know?
Right. The execution of it just went off the rails.
Here's the new kid, by the way. You can hug her. It's okay. Right. Jesus Christ.
Well, you know, they wanted to prepare you for extra because that's the fucking gay community, extra.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that's insane.
Keep slipping.
No worries.
So, kind of switching gears away from medical stuff and AIDS and all of that stuff. Jamie and I have gone through a little bit of an ordeal in the last couple of weeks. If you guys have been paying attention to either of our accounts, you'll know what's going on. But I'm curious to hear Jamie's side of things, how this vacation loop contest came about, how you noticed it, and I would love to just hear your side of the whole story.
To be fair, I don't even know how it popped into my feed. It's one of those things like it gets to a point and I'm just like, I shut down. But
yeah,
it is no secret. I'm not a fan of a loop giveaway. They're crap. It's the MLM of Instagram.
Right.
So
we hate it.
Every time I see a loop giveaway, I get mad because it's like people that I know get involved with them. And like, if you want to do a deep dive on a loop giveaway, we can do that later. But this situation in particular, I do understand that it was run by a lesbian. You know, she's got a parenting account. She runs a loop giveaway account. Live your best life. I don't care. But when you're doing a pride celebration, where heterosexual women are centered to grow their Instagram account to celebrate pride by giving away a vacation, that's not doing a damn thing.
Right.
And it's massive accounts. It's accounts with like 1.5 million followers doing this, but they're heterosexual women. We love
taking
pride.
advantage of pride for the purpose of financial gain
completely.
Oh,
and
Jesus Christ.
They said that no one was paid for this giveaway, which is not normal, so I will take their word that no one was paid. But it increases your follower count. It increases your follower
which
count.
is
That way
monetized
you're able to get more money.
for many
It's
big
social
creators.
currency.
Yeah.
And so a few of the people reached out to me. Most of them did not. But one of the accounts I messaged and they wrote me back. We were emailing back and forth about, and it turns out they're actually here in Denver and I had no idea whatsoever. So they're like, we're fully vaxxed. Do you want to meet for coffee and like talk about this? I'm like, no, I want to do this as an Instagram live.
Yeah.
And because I want it to be transparent and open. Like I want to talk about pride, like what the whole idea was behind this and how it's helping my community.
Right.
Because you're not amplifying queer voices. If you want to amplify queer voices, you let them have your platform for a little bit. You're not like, I'm giving away a vacation to the Four Seasons in Oahu.
Right.
So we agreed. They were like, game on. We'll do an Instagram live. We agreed on the day. Crickets.
They were also invited to come onto this show as well. And I DM'd every single one of them because they were so very insistent that I reach out to them via DM, because reaching out to them by tagging them in a video was not enough, apparently. And all of my DMs were completely ignored as well.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
You know what we call it in the gay community?
What's that?
We have a like going back like way back. We have a term for them. I call them breeder feeders.
Breeder feeders. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Breeder feeders. Yeah. Breeder feeders. They feed the straight people because they're gay. You know what I mean? Like, it makes everything that the straight people do okay because I'm gay, so I okay it.
What's also really interesting about the bigger account involved in this, that agreed to do the Instagram with me, people were defending them, and it's an account that teaches emotional intelligence. And so they were like, they showcase diversity and LGBTQ plus families all the time. I went through every Instagram post they have ever put up.
Not a one.
There were two mentions of gay people, and it was both this month.
Yikes.
Yeah, they're really supportive.
So and the thing is, like, yes, I get mouthy online. Yes, I call people out. But I do my research. Like, I'm not flippant when I post because I understand my platform.
Right.
And, I kind of have two rules of social media. I never post anything online that I would not say to someone's face. And I never post anything online that I would not want on a billboard on the interstate with my face on it, because that's what the internet is. So I do take things seriously when I put them up. But like, don't tell me you're inclusive, and then I find like 2 mentions of gay people on your entire account, and it's been in the last week.
Right. Yeah. And that just like raises this whole issue of performative allyship, which, I feel like the community is kind of divided on it. Like, on one hand, you have the like, oh, I was bullied so much. I am like so happy to see rainbows everywhere. I just want to see rainbows everywhere. And like, it just, whatever it is, it's acceptance. But like, at the end of the day, like, we need to hold people accountable, and we need, like, the word bullying was thrown around a lot in this situation. The original account.
And we were not bullying.
No.
Holding people accountable is not bullying.
It's not cancel culture. Like, all of this is stupid. And,
I'm so over that.
it's, you have to walk the walk. You can't just like throw up a thing and be like, yay, gays.
Right. Celebrate. I'm gonna, one of the things that, this reality star who was involved in this loop giveaway, like, they just threw up a picture. She was so very tone deaf in this whole situation. She threw up a picture of her heterosexual family on the loop giveaway post. And like, her husband was like halfway cut out. It was like half around his head.
I mean, the whole thing did not make sense. And I understand, like, and they did pick a winner, and apparently it was a queer family. But what if a homophobe or a transphobic person won this giveaway to celebrate Pride?
Right.
Yeah. How do you flip that narrative?
And then also, as I just posted on Instagram before we went live, I use Social Blade a lot. And like when you track the amount of followers that these accounts get, you know, they're getting 20 to 30,000 to 40,000 followers during this giveaway.
Right.
And then the giveaway is over and you watch them lose 1, 2, 3, 4,000 a day after the giveaway.
Yeah.
What was your purpose?
Nothing.
How did this help the gays?
Right.
No.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's why go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's fine. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say what Jessica was saying earlier, like with the allyship, I am an ally. Like that's my, and from the beginning, not June, like I have made, I mean, I've especially been really outspoken about the trans community. We have a couple amazing trans children in my daughter's school that ran track with her. Like, so I've always been a bit of an advocate. I've used other people's platforms. Like a lot of people don't like him, but Vosh, I've used his platform to kind of elevate some of his narrative because he does speak very like positively, but whatever. So like, I agree. Like it just blows my mind that people like want to speak out in June and the rest of the year they have nothing fucking to say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how are you, you know, like I haven't made like a video this month that's like Pride. And for me, I guess it's because I'm not a direct member of Pride, but I feel like I continue to be a voice for the members of Pride, for the LGBTQ plus community. Like I feel like that's what an ally does. Like you speak out for them. You don't do this fake bullshit once a month to be like, oh, I love you. No, I don't.
If these accounts wanted to amplify or be allies in this giveaway, this account, the giveaway should have been run with queer creators. And then these bigger accounts should have been like, hey, guess what? There's this kick-ass giveaway going on to celebrate Pride. Here are parenting people in the gay space. And like this, and I got messages
and connecting
that were like,
them.
are you just mad you weren't involved in this? No, I would never take part of the giveaway because they're garbage. But like, there are lots of gay people in the parenting community if you did your research. It's not hard to find us.
But that's not their purpose. Their purpose is to give themselves clout for X amount of days.
Can we talk about the reverse too?
Reverse? Yeah. What do you mean?
That's one big thing that I cannot stand is the reverse. When you're straight and then you come out as gay for clout. Okay? Or do you see what I'm saying? The reversal. When you are straight and you hide it, okay, and now you're gonna come out and be a part of the alphabet mafia in my community, and then you're gonna fucking step all over it. You know, Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh yeah.
She deserves none of our respect.
No, none of it.
I am not sorry. She deserves nothing. She deserves to go back to her little home and stay there because she is spitting on all the world, especially cis white gay men. We owe the transgender, especially transgender of color, a lot.
Everything.
Because what really started the gay movement is the fucking ballroom movement. Yeah, and that, I mean, the ballroom movement in New York City and in all of all the coasts. Okay, and it was transgendered women, women of color. It was really the gay colored community that started really that kind of push for us to get out there. And then Caitlyn Jenner turns around and brings her little fucking horse face up. Like I'm so angry looking at her. Going, you just spit on everything because the gay community, again, we've got a lot of sorries to say to the transgender community. Yeah, we do. Yeah. We have bridges to repair. Okay, we do.
Absolutely.
Gay men, and even like with like gay men and lesbians as well. You know what I mean? Because even when we have a lot of work to do, and then she comes out and does this thing now, you know what I mean? And like the Christian Walkers and those things, but I mean, like seriously, when you, and then who was it? The guy from The Bachelor. The guy from The Bachelor.
Colton. Oh yeah.
Fuck him.
You come out immediately and you get a TV show about it?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, like, seriously. Like, I just no. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, princess. Like, no. Like, you're
well, I can't. Like with Caitlyn, this bullshit. Like, she's coming out like, I don't think transgender girls should get to play sports in high school. Excuse me while I go play professional fucking golf as a woman. Like, I'm just like, women, but please, I will mace your ass.
I will mace you.
Like, I'm like, what? Like, so you can be a grown ass former male Olympic athlete and play professional women's golf, but you're going to freaking criticize young girls who are trying to come into themselves for the first time in their lives in the most horrible situation, because we all know middle and high school is bullshit, and then say, I'm going to shit on you further and say you don't deserve to play sports. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck?
But here's the thing, though.
I can't even.
She's talking to a crowd that is used to, I'm going to do how I'm going to do because everybody else. So what they consider judgment towards us, okay, is technically not hypocrisy to them. So if they tell us not to do something and we go and do it, and they go and do it, that's not hypocrisy to them because it's a totally different mindset. So Caitlyn Jenner is doing what is completely fine for the people that she's kowtowing to. They're used to that. Hypocrisy doesn't exist to them because they don't even see it. It's aggravating. Caitlyn.
I'm going to call this my claim to fame, though. So I don't know if you knew when Christian Walker came back to TikTok a few weeks ago, very briefly.
Oh God!
He made a singular video.
Oh my God! I cannot.
He made that singular video that really just it was a baby gay movement where he basically just denounced Pride and said they don't deserve a month. Like, what are we fucking celebrating? And I made a stitch, and I stitched him, and I made a stitch. And I was like, and it was like, I played like the fucking, I went deep. I played the music, the sap music in the background. Like I played the fucking images. I was like, I'm going all in on this motherfucker. And I was just like, you are shitting on everyone that gave you the ability to even have a voice right now. Wow. Like you have just giantly shit on human beings that died for you to stand up here and be an openly piece of shit. And deleted the video. Like he immediately took it down. I don't know how many of my people went at him, but the video was gone within 15 minutes. I'm like, that's going to be my new claim to fame. I'm pretty sure that I made Christian Walker run the fuck off TikTok after coming back on for 5 seconds.
Well, and then he goes and complains about rioting and burning how BLM is burning the cities down. It's like, no, like Pride started as a riot.
Yeah.
Like that is what
literally
enrages me.
What truly enrages me is I identify as a vaccinated person, like the whole I identify as that.
Yeah.
And there was one. So as a white
transite, I debated him.
Male, okay. As a white male, I have to walk a thin line. Okay. But I can also take certain privileges. Okay.
Liberties,
I may be a white male. Liberty. I wouldn't say privilege. God, that sounds awful. I can
liberties. Take liberties
in the fact that I am gay, and that the fact that I'm also a medical professional. Okay. And I saw Marsha. I don't know. Do you guys know who Marsha P. Johnson is? Everybody knows who she is. She's famed to be the one who threw the first brick. She had a brick in her purse, and she started fighting the cops. Okay, she was a black transgendered woman. Okay, who was integral. Okay, and she is famous, at least within the gay community. Okay, and marginalized communities. And I saw a woman of color doing that, saying, "I identify," and I told her. I told her, I said, you are being so disrespectful to what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not only just, it's just not like the like the BIPOC community or anything like that. They are using transgenders as beating them up again. Like they're doing it again. Yeah. And that whole transvestite movement, the transvestite movement is just like, you are so disrespectful. About that. So anyway, sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there.
No, I agree. Well, I mean, I dealt with MAGA Mike, and I mean, we actually had a debate. In the very beginning, I had to literally delete the first 5 seconds of our conversation because he leaned right in with racist. I was like,
of course he did.
I'm like, dude, no. And all my people in my comment section are like, excuse me, what the fuck did he say? I'm like, oh no. But he started that whole transvestite. He was one of the leaders of it. And I came at him about it. And I came out about a lot of people. I got so much hate for that. And I'm just like, y'all, you were like mocking a legitimate movement that people died for because you don't want to get a shot in your arm. Like, grow the fuck up. Like, why are you trying to minimize someone's
Just grow up.
like movement?
It's
just
manufactured oppression. It's like
all of it is.
It's all of it. Everything is like
manufactured
it's all
oppression. That is
right.
great.
But it
Like,
goes
it's
deeper. I think it goes deeper than that, though. I really do.
What do you mean?
I really
think it's projection?
It goes deeper than that. No, not even projection. It has now become a theology. Okay, step back for a minute. Okay, because here we go. We're going. Here we go. We're going down the rabbit hole.
We're going to the religion rabbit hole.
Okay, we're going down the rabbit hole. Think of everything that's going on right now with, the right. Okay, think of that. Stop a minute, and everything that they say, and everything that they repeat, and everything that they're doing. Stop looking at it as a political lens and manufactured oppression, but as a spiritual lens. Okay, so when we come back against them and we push back and say you are wrong, they intensify. Did you notice that? They intensify. It gets worse and worse. What happens when you attack somebody's faith? When you performative outrage, absolutely. When you attack someone's faith, they become worse and worse. And before it would have been performative outrage, but now they're following it through. You've got January 6th that happened. You had that poor Jack in the Box person who asked somebody to put on a mask when they came in. He got stabbed 7 times, or 7 or 3 times. Then you have the grocery store clerk who got shot and killed by somebody who asked him to wear a mask. It's escalating. Okay, like it's now become a theology for them, and each time that's how they can cherry pick everything. It's off. Look at Texas. Right. What is it? Abbott just passed a bill to give $250 billion to build a wall, but you can't even fucking plug in an AC over there. Like,
nope. Right.
But to them, that's part of. It's almost like a sacrifice, like a sacrificial lamb. Like, this is, look at what we're doing here.
The priorities.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Trumpian rhetoric.
It really, really is, and it's.
He also vetoed a bill that had I want to say 60 or 70% bipartisan support. It was named after a young lady that was 16 that was murdered in a kind of domestic violence situation with a boyfriend in high school. They created a bill to give them domestic violence guidance and just how to recognize you're in a dangerous, situation in whether your family life or your personal life. 1 lesson in middle school, 2 lessons in high school. He vetoed the bill. He said, I will absolutely not teach about domestic violence and rape culture in our public schools. There's no place for that. I'm like, what the fuck? There are people at home
it's not even rape
this,
culture,
and this is an argument I get. Well, and that was part of it though. That was part of the language of the bill. But even still, I was upset because, one of the big arguments I have with pro-lifers is this whole well, they should just not, have the baby. I'm like, do you know how many religious families don't talk about sex? It's just not a conversation. My mom, we got birth control. When my daughter was 13, I had legitimate, when she started to have a boyfriend, I'm like, okay, well, let's dive in. And when she was 15, she's like, hey mom, I'm having sex. We need to get me put on the pill. We had a conversation. I want her to know that she can come to me and I'm her safe space and I'm going to keep her safe from anything she doesn't want. And those parents aren't having those fucking conversations. Then they're signing waivers to not let the schools have those fucking conversations. Then their knocked up 15-year-old has to stand in front of a church altar and say, I'm sorry for getting pregnant. Will you help me raise this baby in Christ? I'm just fucking over the absolute toxic mentality that goes behind.
Did we forget about Florida? Did we forget about Florida and the Florida bill?
I know.
Bill?
Yes, and literally checking people's genders.
Genitals.
Yes.
I say genitals because I'm a nurse. I was like, but they were going to physically
go pull your pants down and make sure you can play soccer this week, honey. I need to make sure you have a vagina. I don't even understand.
I don't think you were following me at the time, but I made a post. This is when I was I maybe had 60,000 followers at the time, and I made a post and I said, if you're so worried about body autonomy and all of that. What are your thoughts about this? Are you okay with them doing this? Do you not know that I did not hear not a single Trump supporter made a comment in my comment section? Not a single one.
You know why? Because they know you're right. And I noticed that when I make a post that they cannot get around, like there's certain posts that I make that they're like, fuck. They will not say a fucking peep. They will find the next post that they think they can dig in and find a little hole or a gap to like attack me with every single time. I noticed that so much lately that they literally are cherry picking my posts that they think they can find little pinholes in to come at me about.
Right.
Do you
or
remember
they'll
that one
go for something like,
Wild.
the typical like response to the woman. Mine is always my voice. Well, your vocal fry is so cringy. I'm like, you want to see a vocal fry? Like, like, how about you use your brain and like come up with an actual argument?
Yes.
What is it? Crazy right now. Remember the one that you duetted me and I said, at this point, with the adults vaccinated and everything like that.
Yes.
The unvaccinated people are fucking with people's kids. Okay.
Yeah.
That you truly are. You are fucking with people's kids, and that is starting to come.
Mine included.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. They're coming up to their fantasy and their fantasy reality, and all of that is coming into something called reality. And reality is Missouri is completely fucking overrun. The Delta has completely overrun it.
Colorado like 27% vaccinated.
Yeah, completely overrun. And I said this back in January. I said there's going to be regional areas where it's just going to be little hotbeds of just absolute plague. Okay, and when I said you were fucking with people's kids, they're gonna find out about it. That one's going viral again.
Oh, mine's going viral too. Still, I'm still getting comments and likes on it
because I called them out on it. You know what I mean? Like they know. They know. That's why they're pushing so hard. Oh, the vaccine's going to kill you. The vaccine's going to kill you. I know that sounds really awful, but it's really, really sad that statistically there's going to be, unfortunately, lives lost. And that is not something that we glorify or use as a weapon, but that's what they're doing.
Right.
And what is it? So now they're coming at us again about it because I called them out on it. Mine too.
Same Ginger. I too have a 9-year-old.
September.
Yeah.
4
of my nieces and nephews. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and it's a blended family. And 4 of my nieces and nephews just had COVID, and they are from ages 6 to 11, and fully tested positive. They were sick for a while, like crazy high fevers, all of it. They're better now, thank God.
Yeah.
But they're not. That's the problem.
Like, kids,
they're not. Like long hauler syndromes in kids is terrifying.
Yeah.
What we're seeing.
Well, and then they have that data about the brain, the depletion of brain.
It's called multi-inflammatory system syndrome in children, where your organs literally flame up, including your brain. Okay. And the problem is with this Delta variant, especially within children, it presents as a cold. And we're about to go into schools. Every time you start schools back up, you see a spike in respiratory viruses. So how are we going to be able to determine if it's COVID or if it's just a cold unless we give a test? These anti-vax, COVID denying, my immune system worked. I've literally watched posts where the mother would not get her child tested for COVID.
Oh, we've had that in my public school system. And we've had kids sit home.
Me? But the problem is,
they'd be like, I'll just stay home the 12 days required and then come back. I'm like, what? You're going to let your kid miss 12 days of school? Instead of just going to get a test?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So how is this? Is the Delta variant? So it's presenting as a cold, but like, what are the long haul symptoms? So like, I have a preemie baby who was like, she's almost 2 now, but like we got our vaccine early. She had a severe respiratory infection in the NICU. She was born at 32 weeks. Like she was a teeny tiny. We brought her home. She was 4 pounds. Like, what can we do to like besides staying in our house, like,
That's it.
should we just get her tested if she shows any sign of a cold?
If she spikes a fever, if she starts having, increased respiration.
Sore throat is a big thing, right now, isn't it?
Crying. Well, for a baby, for an infant.
Yeah, baby.
Infants, we use a different scale. If you notice, runny nose, flushing, you know what I mean? Like grasping constantly and unable to, stop the crying, then absolutely get a temperature. If she spikes a temperature, go straight to the fucking hospital. But COVID, when I say Delta presents in a certain way, I'm saying it presents in a certain way in addition. Okay.
Right.
So you could have full blown COVID, or you could have a mild case of COVID and it presents as a cold. But now you're spreading it to those people who could have a major response. And what's happening now is that's now focused on people who are unvaccinated.
Right.
And that's the thing. The unvaccinated are starting to see this massive spike. Right. But I don't know if you know this. Did you people with autoimmune diseases? They didn't have anything. Like they had nothing. Sometimes there's some people on like organ transplant drugs or immune suppressing drugs for like lupus and things like that. They would get the vaccine and their body wouldn't remember, their T cell memory wouldn't be there, and so they were terrified.
I've heard that a lot.
And every time I talked to one of them, my heart would break because it's not their fault that if they get COVID, it's one of these idiots' fault. Well, now I have Regencov, which is Regeneron. Regeneron is what the Cheeto got.
Yes.
But want to know a funny story? He wasn't the first one to get it. It was a black man. So that's twice he's had to wait in line for the black man to do it. Oh, I'm a pet.
Oh God.
That was the first thing I saw. When I saw, I was like, wait a minute. Oh, this is good.
I'm one of those parents. So I'm in private. I've started infiltrating some of the Facebook mom groups, as my dear friend Jessica here does. But I mainly did it for school purposes because I infiltrate a lot of my local school divisions, moms groups. One in particular that is in the process of trying to unmask all of my elementary students for next school year. And I'm watching them just continuously post and complain and be like, we need to advocate. We need to get rid of masks. I'm like, why? Like, why are you like, they're getting rid of the barriers which I'm not horribly upset about as long as a mask day. But the only problem is if they're continuing to eat lunch in their classrooms, which is likely what's going to be in my school, at least, no barrier means the mask come off and lunch is a fucking free for all, So I have a lot of concerns because I know that there are anti-vaxxers in my, in my town, in my city. But to have an entire group of freaking relentless moms attacking our public school system because they won't take the mask off. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like they can't get vaccinated. Like we don't have a choice right now. Like if we have a choice and my kid can get vaccinated, fuck you and your family. I don't even care anymore. But right now that's not an option. Like,
Yeah.
So Penny, what do we do? I mean, like as parents with this Delta thing, like what do we do? Do we cancel our summer? Like, do we go back into hiding? Like what's the bottom line
here? My family does stuff with kids outside. So we don't do indoor activities with other people's families. And also like everybody at my pool is vaccinated. So I'm pretty thankful.
That's what I was saying. Like they keep saying like, oh, that's segregation when you don't let us into your businesses and yada, yada. It's not that. We're stopping you. You have a choice to get vaccinated. What I tell parents is I say, hang out with people who are vaccinated because they like to cherry pick and like look at the small numbers. Okay. But if we look at the overall picture, if you have 20 people in a room, 19 people are vaccinated. One has COVID. Nobody is getting COVID in that room. Okay.
Right.
The vaccine stops infection. Okay. So if you have a larger majority of people vaccinated and, maybe one person not going to get COVID. Obviously, there is a slight minuscule chance, but I'm done with saying that. I am absolutely done with saying it because Florida just proved it. I don't know if you guys know about what happened in Florida, right?
Yes, I did a video on it with the 6 IT guys. The one that was vaccinated was fine, no COVID. The other 5 contracted it and 2 died, and the other 3 were hospitalized. 50-year-olds died. 3 30-year-olds hospitalized, and the only one that survived and had no COVID was the vaccinated one. The other 5 were unvaccinated.
Why do you think they're losing their fucking minds right now? Because they've come up to reality. When I told them, my friend asked me, what do we do about family members who aren't going to get vaccinated? And I said, this is a clinical observation. You know what I mean? No emotions involved right now. If you have family members that are not vaccinated, you will see them die. Okay? Now, whether it's your situation or somebody else's situation, that is going to happen. Hands down, period. There's no argument about it. There's no emotion. It's just it's already happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like here's 2 50-year-olds that had families and they're dead. Yeah, because they made the decision not to get vaccinated.
But and it's so funny to listen to all these people lose their mind when I told them that. Well, what about kids? Did I include kids about that? Kids don't have a choice. Well, what about people who are immune or allergic? Did I include them? No, I didn't.
They don't have a choice.
Falls not.
That's why we need to protect them and vaccinate.
Right. That's the whole point.
Yep.
Yeah. It is. And I tell all my because I don't have any kids, but I tell my friends. They ask me, would you send your kids to school? No, fuck no, absolutely not. Nope, wouldn't do it. Nope, it's too much of a chance. It is. I get it. There's the emotional and psychiatric toll on a child. I do. As a nurse, like I understand that, but at least they're alive, or they don't have long hauler syndrome.
I will tell you, our middle school did a mass vaccination when they issued the 12 and up, like the day after. Mm-hmm. So they issued the authority on the Thursday, and that Friday, our school organized a mass vaccination site at one of the high schools. Nice. 900 kids came that day and got fucking vaccinated in my town. Yes,
awesome.
That is.
Now, I don't know how many. But I will, and then the school followed it up 2 weeks or 3 weeks later with 2 weeks worth of vaccinations at every public school in the middle and high school age develop, so they could get their secondary shot. So like my daughter, I didn't even have to take her anywhere. Like they were there 2.5 or 3.5 weeks later. They came to her school. She got her shot like at our lunch break and then went back to class. So like awesome. I'm in Virginia. Like we have Northam. Like he's been pretty on the ball. People hate him, but I do think with vaccination rollouts, he's been pretty on it. But yeah, I've been really, my town seems pretty pro vaccine for the most part, with the exception of these freaking crazy moms and their anti-masking shit. But like my entire pool, everybody I talk to, they're like, we're vaccinated. But I go to school or pool with William and Mary professors and teachers and people that, have an education and trust science and, and I mean, I know there's some people in those fields that don't, but I'm very fortunate. I'm surrounded by a lot of people that do. Praise Jesus. But
no, I don't. I feel like COVID is like kind of like when you get crazy and like political on social media and like you lose your followers and it's like curating your feed, and that's what COVID has done. And I'm like,
oh, absolutely.
A lot of people really aren't as smart or as sensible as we thought.
Yeah,
and I'm good.
I mean, I struggle with that.
I was talking to Lauren, the Zen Blonde, about because she was telling me all about her online dating and like kind of re-emerging into the world of trying to find somebody to date. And it's like, that she found out, she was like, went on a date with like the perfect guy. He like took her to the most exclusive restaurant in LA and then like surprised her with all this. And then she found out that he had a pod of like 50 people during COVID, and like, which basically means you don't
have a pod.
Like it just,
that's not a pod.
Like, no. Okay, bye. Like she, everything checked every single box, and she just walked away.
I know.
It's like why are you like this?
When I actually did a post on it. Believe it or not, it was true. I don't know. Do you know who Time with Tracy is?
Who is it?
Time.
Oh,
with
yes,
Tracy?
I know. Yes.
Okay. I wasn't kidding when I asked her if I could start my hoe phase. Because literally when she said yes, I downloaded Scruff, picked 2 guys. Are you vaccinated? Get over here and bang me out. I was like, it is time to start. You know what I mean? Because I've been holding off. Like, I got a divorce at the beginning of this pandemic. And you got to think, I got a divorce. Gosh. I'm alone. I moved all the way across the country. The desert's fucking hot, so I'm inside. You know what I mean? And what's that?
Pent up energy for muscle.
I live alone.
Yeah, exactly.
He goes, I live alone.
Yeah, exactly. I live alone too. I have a beach house. Thank you. I do come to the beach. But I was in Arizona, and I had nothing. I had nothing, and the pandemic just kept rolling on. And then when the vaccine came, the first thing that my first dose was like, I am one shot away from getting some dick. I am one shot away from getting some dick. And then finally I got some. I was like, yes. That's how you responsibly hoe yourself in the pandemic community. Okay,
you're a responsible hoe.
You're a responsible hoe. Okay,
I get it.
You're safe. You practice safe hoeing. All right.
Just be thankful you got the divorce before COVID. Do you know how many families I know that got divorced during COVID?
Yeah,
see, I would have been in prison. I would have had a felony.
That's what I'm saying.
I would have been up for a murder charge. I'd be a lifetime
not good.
I'll tell you.
It's not good. Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, COVID
but I've lost so many. I know so many. I don't know about y'all, but I live in a purple state. A lot of people that I am friends with are Republicans, conservative, Trumpers. That I've again, I didn't have a very big political take several years ago, and I saw the vitriol on Facebook the last year, and I was like, I don't know if I can like you people. And so I actually had probably a handful of people that I've known for years that I had to delete and just eliminate from my life. Cause I literally had someone who I've known for 13 years, tell me in a Facebook back and forth, go put on a pink vagina hat, pour a glass of wine and listen to Cardi B because and I'm like, I mean, all of those things sound great. Like, what's your problem? And, but it was her version of an insult to me, because she loved Trump and I didn't, and I had stuff to say. And so I just stopped talking altogether on Facebook. Like, everyone's like, you never post. I'm like, because I don't want to have World War III on my Facebook account. The handful of things that I posted went ridiculous. So ridiculous.
There's a woman that I used to work with, and for a long time used to do events with her in a state that shall remain nameless. But the last time I was down there, it was a friend and I, we went down to speak at one of her events, and she threw this party for us at her house. Okay. And I knew she'd voted for Trump. She got a big cake made with a big MAGA hat on the top for the election, like one of those. So we go in her house, and I don't care what your political leanings are. I would never have a framed photo of a political figure in my house like this. She had a giant framed photo of Trump in his MAGA hat on her living room wall. Ew. And I was like,
bye.
Like, what?
They're in a cult.
Jesus.
They're in a cult.
Literally.
In a cult.
They are. I know.
I have Moira Rose and ET framed on my wall. That's
I'm here
my
for
kind
that.
of content.
I'm here. Schitt's Creek all day long. Okay.
But Trump
all day long,
or anyone
else but Trump.
I would never frame a politician and put them on my wall. We need to stop idolizing politicians. Period.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. Biden was bangable when he was in his 20s. That doesn't mean I want him on my wall.
Absolutely, he was.
Oh, yes.
Handsome.
Absolutely.
He was. He really was.
And I'm not mad about John down in Georgia either. There's some handsome people.
Oh God, John.
I don't need photos of them on my wall.
No, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless we're throwing darts at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm good with that.
All day long.
I'm in Colorado.
Does it have to be dark?
And on the other side of the mountain is Bobert country.
Oh yeah. Well, no, Bobert needs the axe throwing. That we need.
Bobert
bigger.
needs diapers because she gives people diarrhea. We don't talk about that story enough.
Oh my God.
Was it you guys
what
not
know
this? I'm not.
What happened? I need to hear.
So she owned this restaurant called Shooter's Grill, where everyone wore guns. Even an underage kid that she got in trouble for. but she catered some like rodeo event, and her pulled pork gave everyone diarrhea.
Of course it did.
So, like, you go for it, Katie. You go for it.
Trump and
Like,
Stady.
Wow.
That seems to track. I think that tracks. It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene gives me diarrhea just looking at her. So I mean,
yeah. Yeah. We have lots to say offline about that.
I'm gonna put Canada. Who's the guy up in Canada?
Trudeau.
What's his name?
Trudeau.
Yeah, I would totally have that man's babies.
Absolutely.
Same.
He's hot.
Same.
I need to put some. I need to feed him something though. He's a little skinny.
Explain. Okay, speaking of politicians that are sexualized, can people please stop taking Putin's shirt off and putting him on a fucking horse?
It grosses me out so much.
Oh my God, I don't get it. It's so weird. Like, there are literally conservative creators on here that like, I want to marry him. I'm like, why? Like, why? He's gross. Like, I don't even understand.
It's an indoctrination.
It really is.
They don't really have much to choose from either. I mean,
no, they really don't. They just really don't. I mean, you could go for the
Ted Cruz.
Twins. Oh God! Did you see him not even be able to recite the flag? The flag.
Yes.
What is that? Pledge of Allegiance.
A Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah. Oh, of course.
He's a hot mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's.
We should. Speaking. So I wanted to bring this up when we were talking about tokenism coming out. I guess you could call it. What do you two think about this? The NFL player who just came out. There's not a whole lot of information on him yet. I do know that as my husband is a lifelong Raiders fan, Mark Davis is extremely problematic. What are your? We'll start with Petty. What are your thoughts on this new out NFL player?
Muscle nursing.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said. Oh, sorry. You said.
Petty. She called you Petty. House of Petty.
Petty.
Oh, Petty. You've been saying. I thought you've been saying Penny this whole time. Like, Penny. Like, you sound like sitting here reading it. Like, is she talking to somebody over there? Because you're so fucking tired. You're saying Penny. Okay. All right. I got you. Now we're on the same page. I was like, what do I think of it? I don't think it's that big of a story. It's not that fucking big a deal.
Yeah.
Like, it just really isn't. Like. It shouldn't be, but it's gonna be. Like, it's gonna be. The especially like we were less polarized. When Trump came into office, like before then, things have started to kind of settle down. We just got gay marriage. It wasn't a big thing. And then Trump came in, and he needed all of his little red meat and sacrificial lambs to throw to his little followers, and just it escalated higher and higher. And it shouldn't be a problem. Really shouldn't.
Right.
But I think it might be. You know what I mean? I do. I guarantee you there's going to be on the straight side, well, they're going to be testing him for HIV. Like that I guarantee that's what's going to happen. Like that's what they did with the other football player. What was that other football player?
Well, he didn't even get, like, there are rumors that he was drafted, but he never made it to play. He never made it on an actual roster. And a lot of people brought this up when I mentioned it on my TikTok. I thought, I can't remember his name. I thought he was the first player. And I said, no, like, he wasn't actually, he was drafted, but he never actually made it onto a team. And there were rumors that was because he was gay. Mark Davis is notoriously, I mean, he is from the Bay Area, but like, he has straight up, when he made comments about BLM, and people said, hey, you can't say this, you're being racist. He just said, no, this is how I feel. And this is.
Wait a minute. Mark Davis is the football player?
Yeah.
No, Mark Davis owns the Raiders.
Owns the Raiders.
I was going to say, wait a minute. The I thought the gay guy did it. I thought the gay guy did it. No.
Oh, well, no. So sorry. So Mark Davis is Al Davis's son, and he was like this Hall of Fame football owner of the Raiders.
Okay.
And he like changed the game, whatever. We don't need to talk about it on this. So he inherited it from his dad, and this guy. You gotta see his haircut. I gotta show you a picture. He's such a weirdo.
See, I don't follow
yeah,
sports.
no,
I'm sorry.
I don't either.
I like when you said Mark Davis. I was like, at first I thought it was a football player, and I'm saying like I don't follow sports. So like, I TikTok and like I cook and watch.
Yeah, I'm a big football girl, but I don't know the Raiders. But I am a big football. I'm a Patriots fan.
I did go to Raiders
Sadly.
football camp when I was younger, like Pop Warner, is it Pop Warner? Like Pop Warner football. I did do that.
I used to go to football games a lot in college because it was fun. You drank.
Yeah,
Well,
but it was the camaraderie. It wasn't actually the game.
No, I like socially. I love going to games. It's fun to hang out with people, like do whatever. I will never watch it on TV. I don't care.
Oh, that is horrific.
He has had his haircut
for
I'm getting
very
decades.
Brianna a tarp. I'm getting Brianna a tarp.
Brianna a tarp. Oh my god!
What? Put the picture back up.
It does.
Brianna a tarp.
It does.
You know who I'm talking about?
Brianna Tarp is fucking hot as shit in real life.
Am
though.
I
I'm just
right?
gonna put
Yeah, you are correct.
Right? Just a really bad, like if you
Oh,
order her
man.
from Wish. If you order her from
yes,
Wish,
the
that's what you
Wish.com
get.
version of Brianna of Tarth. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No.
I mean, that's
No.
like,
I'm a petty
it's like
bitch.
Wish Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's another problematic one.
I know. She has become
I have been
problematic.
quiet about her this entire time, and I will stay that way.
Stay quiet. Stay quiet.
Stay quiet.
So initially what his comments were, but burning your brother's house down is ultimately not the answer. Not only do we have to tell people there's something wrong, we have to come up with solutions. That is not the challenge in front of us, not only as Americans, but human beings. So he basically went off and said that like they shouldn't be rioting over George Floyd. And people called him out on that. And then when this guy came out, he basically just dismissed it during the announcement. So the owner of this guy's football team is not supporting him outwardly on Twitter. Like,
of course not.
It's gonna be an issue for sure.
Well, it's this constant thing about they keep bringing up the Black Lives Matter movement because there was opposite players. That's why they always say Antifa was involved in January 6th, because their asses were in the Black Lives Matter movement. Like if they cannot fathom that if they did something that the other side wouldn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yes, 100%.
Do you see what I'm
saying?
Like,
exactly.
It's always projection on their side.
Yes,
and
they did pose as BLMers to cause aggravation.
Yeah,
I mean, there's proof of it. So they're like, well, they had to have been there too.
And it doesn't matter what political side you're on, okay? I'm talking about political ideologies, mindsets. The political ideology and mindset of Tulsa. Do you remember Tulsa Massacre?
Yeah.
That is their mindset, okay? So when you bring up Black Lives Matter, I like to remind them, I'm sorry, but your political ideology is what caused Tulsa. And the last time I checked, that was a fucking massacre. Okay, this person lost a target. That was a massacre. So
weaponized white tears.
Sit all the way the fuck down. Okay, like seriously, I'm so tired of them using that movement. So tired of it.
I know.
Sorry, I went off on a rant there.
No.
That's all right. I'm over it too. I'm so tired of the comparison every day. I just glanced at a post earlier and they're like, oh, but you were okay with burning down cities. I'm like, they didn't burn the cities. The cities are still fucking there. I promise you.
Right.
They're still there. Right. Okay.
That's how the gay community got fucking heard. Okay. Bring it back to the gays. That's how we got heard.
Right.
We marched our asses into fucking Catholic churches and laid down and we did die-ins. That's how we got hurt because nobody would listen to us.
Yep.
There are documented evidence of press conferences saying, are you going to do anything about this? Are you going to do anything about it? And Reagan stayed fucking silent. Okay? So if you've been silent over and over and over again, you're
complacent.
Sometimes
it's the only thing that makes a change.
Exactly.
Yeah. So. I always do a comparison oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just wrapping everything up. So if you want to keep going.
No, you're fine.
I know all of us could keep talking about this forever and ever, but we are at 1:30. So I just have one more question for both of you. Just as far as like, what do you guys envision for, what you'd like to see Pride and Pride Month looking like next year? Jamie, can you go first?
Ooh. That's a good question. I was not prepared for this. I don't
Let's pretend
know.
COVID doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I never really in New York, like I never took part in Pride celebrations because it was always way too hot. And like I would just get high with my friends and watch Judy Garland clips. Like legit.
Okay.
That was like that's hooray. So other cities like Denver has a great Pride. It's very chill. Minneapolis was great. Like I like Pride in other cities that's a little bit more manageable.
Yeah.
But I think like
and not even just the parade, like
yeah.
just as far as like
the movement. The movement.
I want people to use their heads a little bit more.
Right.
And not clearly rainbow washing is a big deal. And like, yes, gays, we love the exposure, Coors Light, rainbow cans, whatever. But like we need it to be a little bit more meaningful.
Yes.
And not just like, yay, I have some rainbow Converse.
Right.
I got a rainbow watch face on my Apple.
Yeah.
Like meaningful. We need to remember the roots of it.
Right.
And I think that's what is lacking.
Yeah. Everybody needs to go watch the FX Pride.
Somebody came for me online, shocker, and they were like, "Oh, you're not talking about this because it's just like a celebration and a holiday." And I was like, "Pride is no one's holiday. What are you talking about?" Like, it started as a riot.
Right.
Exactly.
And
more people
need to remember that.
Exactly.
And gays also, we all need to do better too.
Yeah.
Yes, the baby gays need to start doing some history research. That's my recommendation.
And I think that's the weirdest thing about like being a white gay man. And you kind of spoke on it a little bit, but it's like it is a weird thing to have white privilege but also be a minority and be an oppressed group. It is a weird line that you ride.
It is
so you have to be present in that and use that privilege.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a
in a positive way.
Yeah. It's a weird, and I think that's why I'm vocal online. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Because I have white privilege. I come from a place of privilege, but I'm also in an oppressed group.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you got to be loud. Exactly. You got to do your work.
Exactly.
Right.
One of the biggest things about Pride that I think we need to bring back, like really, really badly, because we've got it stuck in a fucking museum somewhere. We need to bring back the AIDS blanket.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to bring it back.
The quilt.
Absolutely.
The quilt, because I think that like symbolism works really well. Symbolism works really well in remembering. I mean, that's how our like going all the way back till there wasn't any white people. Okay, that we got our history through pictures. Okay, and symbolism. And the rainbow. Listen, everybody says rainbow washing. I'm cool with it. We fucking fought to be able to have rainbows everywhere. You know what I mean? Guys walking down on a jockstrap and a pair of heels down the street. Yeah, I'm cool with it because I'm not part of your culture. Okay? I'm not. The gay culture is specific. It is not part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no. If you're a gay person, you're speaking out against it. Why are you here? First of all, shut all the way the fuck up. Because the majority of us like it. Okay. So have your own opinion. But the majority,
pick me gays.
We're cool with it. Okay. You're pick-me's. You don't have a voice. Okay. Because the majority of us, that's how it works in America. It's called a vote.
You're louder.
Okay. We voted, I'm wearing a jockstrap and 6-inch heels. And if you don't like it, go home. You know, but I'm cool with it. I think that we need to bring back. We definitely bring back the AIDS memorial. I want it that to start in New York at Stonewall, and I want it marched across this fucking country in a week. And I think gays can get shit done.
Yeah.
Okay, we could.
Do you
figure it out.
ever go to Toronto during Pride?
I have.
It's wonderful. Like normally I'm in Toronto, right now when like Pride is going on for work. In that entire city, I've never seen a city like it. The entire city is covered with rainbows. And it's that to me that's different than rainbow washing. But like you go to Toronto during Pride and it's everywhere you look, the whole city, every building is covered with it. And it is the most
San Francisco's like that too.
Like it makes me so happy to see it. And like,
exactly.
Even here in Denver, like the rainbows are starting to pop up and people are being more open. But it's a wonderful thing to see it. But
I think that also, I love the rainbow washing up. I'm cool with it. I'm cool. I mean, we fought to have that, you know what I mean? Yeah. We did. But I kind of want like the movies that are really important that talk about our lives to be played on national TV. You know what I mean? Like, I want that kind of like, how when Christmas is coming around, when all of a sudden, you start seeing those old movies. Well, I want to know Pride. I want people to know Pride's coming around. We're watching the Matthew Shepard story. Okay. We're
Paris
watching
is burning.
Milk. Paris, we're watching Milk. We're watching those things. We know we can time. So you can mentally prepare to give it reverence. Okay. Right now we just throw ourselves into the month and we don't realize what happened.
No, you need context
to get you there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. There was a really powerful scene in the FX Pride documentary, and they played the Paris is Burning clip where the drag queens are all putting their makeup on, and it's like it's very solemn, and you can hear the sirens in the background, and they're like thinking like, am I going to be arrested? Is this going to be a raid? What's happening? And they all just they get so super silent, and they just keep putting their makeup on. It's like stuff like that. People just don't understand that.
There's a play called Indecent. Do y'all know of it?
Mm-mm.
It's absolutely beautiful, and they did like a professionally shot recording of the show that you can stream. Highly recommend it. I'm not even going to tell you what it is about. Go in, watch it on TV.
Indecent.
In the theater, it's one of the most perfect things I've ever seen, and it's beautiful and devastating. But go watch it. Go find it and watch it.
I'm gonna write that down.
It's terrific.
Indecent. Sounds like Friday.
Indecent.
Friday.
It's wonderful.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to both of you for giving us almost 2 hours of your time. I love you both very much. So very thankful that you came on the show.
Thank you for
this is so fun.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I always love chatting, and like it's wild because like doing podcasts, like I really just find myself listening a whole lot more because I talk so much for my job. Yeah. It's like sometimes I just like to shut up and listen.
Yeah.
So like I think this was a good learning, like 2 hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. You guys, thank you so much.
Happy Pride, everybody. Continue to be mindful about what you put your rainbows on and who you're giving your money to and who you're giving your likes and follows to.
Oh my God, do not give it to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore, kids.
I found out even more. I found it so before gay marriage, whatever you want to fight them, yada, yada, yada. I still, delicious sandwiches. Okay. They were delicious. I love them. Whatever. But then I found out that they're still doing it. And increasing it and persisting. Fuck you. You're not. No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Not even the hankering. You know what I mean? Nah. No, it's not even worth it.
There's better chicken sandwiches out there, people. They're just marinated in pickle juice. That's it.
Well, and I sat outside of a Target waiting for a Target curbside pickup, and it's right across the street from the Chick-fil-A that we have in Reno. These people are waiting in line for 45 minutes to get Chick-fil-A in the drive-thru. The line is longer than In-N-Out.
We have a restaurant here called Bird Call, and it's a much better version of Chick-fil-A. It's open 7 days a week.
Popeyes, that's what I was thinking. Someone wrote Popeyes.
And they have Pride stuff all year at this restaurant. It's not just June. They sell a rainbow chicken shirt, and it's so good.
Nice.
I want one.
They're great.
That's a nice
It's a
little
rainbow
plug.
chicken.
I wear a rainbow cock.
It's a rainbow cock, exactly.
That's a good note to
I'm a
end on.
dirty man.
Rainbow cock.
Yeah. Jamie
Message
plugs the rainbow
sent.
cock, and we
And
will
seen.
see you
Dun-dun-dun,
next
dun-dun-dun.
week. All right, everybody.
You guys, thank you very
all
much.
for joining. We
Bye,
love you
all.
very much. Have a
Bye.
wonderful evening. Oh.